Welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you're a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Sacoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Childcare Director's Chair.
Hey guys, it's Erica with the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. I have my girl, Coach Rea, in the house today with me. I'm so excited. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, my girl, Erica.
Today, we're going to talk just a little bit about collaboration, because it's one of the most overused and misunderstood ways that we work in the world of leadership. So today we're going to sit down with Coach Rea, one of our featured speakers at the Early Education Empowerment Conference, and we're going to unpack what real collaboration looks like, why it often breaks down in early childhood programs, and how leaders can build strong teams without carrying everyone and everything alone. So, because we need support, we need to help each other. So, Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Like I said, it's always an absolute pleasure to be able to collaborate with you.
So, tell folks who don't know you a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what brought you to coaching.
So for those who don't know me, Raina Woodside Howard, but like I said, I think since I was, as the old saying goes, knee high to a duck, I've always been Ray, which I would say is an awesome segue to my land of coaching. So I am a West Bank, New Orleans native. So NOLA in the house. This is starting in February, I will be going into my 16th year in education, and I was for roughly 12 years a pre-K educator. Really, what got me into coaching was seeing the other side of it. I was able to see what it was like to have your own self-motivation, but not really always have that cheerleader beside you, always have that person that you could collaborate and kind of be a co-pilot with you. So that's what really got me to step into my purpose, I would say, regarding coaching. And I've been coaching for the last 3.5 years.
Okay. So, Coach, when leaders hear the word collaboration, what do they usually think it means, and where do programs go wrong?
I would say normally, historically, when instructional staff hear the word collaboration, I think they think it's a farce. So a lot of them think it's a buzzword. We say we want to collaborate, but in actuality, we really just want to kind of push our ideas on you and really our agenda and what we want to do. So that's kind of what I've seen in the field. So it kind of makes a lot of people pensive when they hear the word collaboration, because they're like, are we really going to collaborate? Or is this just kind of a buzzword to kind of get me to open up and think that we're going to actually have this collaboration, but it's really just you sort of pushing your ideas onto me of what your agenda might actually be.
And where do you think programs go wrong with this, right? Because I feel like leaders don't want to do everything alone. They definitely need a team. But you're probably right. There are some folks that are like, love to lead from the top down instead of bottom up or middle, going all the different ways. So where do you think programs go wrong?
I think that's an excellent point you just made, that a lot of leaders, I think a lot of times they really don't understand what collaboration really is. And I think a lot of them are scared. You have these owners and these directors, and you're over these centers, and a lot of them, I kind of playing a little advocate here. A lot of them feel like, we have all of these expectations and regulations and things I have to come up with. And if something happens, the liability lies with me. So sometimes it's a lot of scaredness on the, I would say, admin staff and directors, owners' parts to want to let go of the reins because it's like if I let go, say I want some of your opinion, what if it doesn't work? What if it does? And then that's the other side of it, right? You have some owners and directors that honestly feel like I want it to be my way or the highway. And they can also feel threatened when they start to have those collaborations with the staff and the staff literally start to bring like really, really valid things. It starts to kind of make them nervous, like, okay, well, what does this look like for me? Because if they start showing too much, is this jeopardizing what I have going on? So I think it's a few things there.
That's a really good point. I think particularly middle management probably really struggles right there, right? Because you
Mhm.
don't want to make it seem as though the people that are under your charge know more than you. So I do think middle management probably might struggle with that a bit more than an owner. So what does good collaboration look like?
I would say good and great collaboration looks like, I would say making sure that you are able to craft a plan together that works for both parties. So, first of all, we're building relationships. I always think that's just like the foundational thing. You have to go in and know the person, know how they like to receive information, all of those things. Then you can say, okay, let's look at what we're strong at. I think a lot of times collaboration breaks down too because we have two different people, two different sides of the coin. So sometimes one party feels like I have a set of things that are priority, and then the other party feels like these set of things are priority. And I think it's about sitting down and really mapping out what things together are really truly the priority, whether it's peer to peer relationships, whether it's like educator admin relationships, what things comparative to what we're collaborating on are the most important.
Yeah. So you're presenting C is for collaboration. Why did you feel this a topic is so important and important enough to bring to a national conference stage?
I would say in a lot of these things for me, they definitely resonate with me. Not only being a coach, but when I was an educator and kind of feeling like, there were some gaps regarding collaboration with myself and admin, for a myriad of different reasons. I won't say me personally too much. I normally was able to kind of peer to peer be able to have those collaborations. But I really saw like bigger gaps, as you mentioned, middle management, really being able to sit down and, like I said, comparative to what we were working on, be able to say, like, hey, these things are priority here. These things go in this kind of descending order. So that was something that just really resonated with me. And I feel like being a coach now and being able to get in with different teachers and them kind of telling me as the trend that they feel like, they aren't really heard, that collaboration is really just a buzzword. It's not something that's really being
Mm,
done. And I wanted teachers and admin alike to really understand that, as your theme is about soaring and ascending together, that I mean, turbulence is inevitable, right? Turbulence is sometimes inevitable, but the way that we collaborate and work together to trek through that turbulence is what really can help us with that ascension.
yeah. I think it really goes back to what you had said earlier, too. Many directors feel like collaboration means giving up authority. And I think we talk so much about leadership on this show that I hope it by this point, episode 500, by the way, uh, I feel like, you know, I think at this point we should have already come to terms with growing your people is the biggest form of leadership, and collaborating, being able to play in the sandbox, if you will, with
Mhm.
everyone and giving others an opportunity to not only come up with the ideas, but then implement those ideas is really true where true leadership happens. So it isn't about hogging all the glory or having the best ideas. Lots of times I don't have the best ideas, but I'm pretty good at talking with my team, seeing what their thoughts are, seeing what, talents we have in the room and how can we use those talents best to serve our children and families. And again, I'm not the most talented, but I think, collaboration can go a long way with not only making your program great, but making the people inside your four walls great?
I totally agree. And just to kind of elaborate more, ultimately, we're looking at student outcomes and, us being able to have this session at the conference, you get to see how all of these things become a trickle effect when we can collaborate as teachers, when admin and instructional staff can collaborate. Then you're also showing an example to the students or the children on how to properly collaborate, right? It may be on a smaller scale, but that's the foundation. Those are like those fundamental things that they need to understand so that when they become older, they understand what, compromise in a sense is like being able to sit down and bring what you bring, take what the other person brings, and being able to come to, the term happy medium. So I think collaboration being seen as something truly viable and not just a buzzword for teachers or admin alike to be scared of is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, too, I think, particularly for our lead teachers, I feel like lead teachers are really truly the roots of the collaborators because a lot of times they're that middle person between the teacher assistants and the directors, and a lot of times they might be in privy to maybe meetings that the TAs are not in, and they kind of go back and they're like, okay, here's what they're rolling out, here's what we got to do, here's how we're gonna, work together to make it happen.
Mhm.
So I feel like your lead teachers really truly should be in your session because I feel like if anybody is collaborating at a high level in a program, it definitely is those lead teachers and assistant directors who are, right in the middle of the admin team and the instructional team, as you call
Mhm.
them. Let me ask you this. How do unaddressed conflict, toxic behavior, or unclear expectations quietly destroy collaboration, and what should leaders do instead?
Oh, this is a good one.
I know. Well, I saved the good ones for you, but
So I feel like those unaddressed things you think about on an airplane, it's eating away at that engine. It's eating away, eroding at it. And you don't always see it, right? Sometimes, I mean, we've heard of things in the sky and you don't always know that that's what's going on, but slowly but surely it's just happening. And it actually causes distrust. And I would say not only feel, I've actually seen where either, like you said, TAs or admin or other instructional staff have those toxic behaviors, or I would say, or inconsistent. They don't
mm,
do what they say they're going to do. It makes you distrustful, right? It makes you not feel secure. And just like we
mm,
want the children, we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You want to make sure that like security is fundamental. And even as adults in the work setting, you want to make sure, even if we have differing relationships, that there's a level of security in what you say. And when that security is jeopardized,
hmm
I mean, it erodes at everything. And I think
yeah,
the second part of your question, what leaders can do, I would say leaders need to be very forthcoming. And I think sometimes leaders hear that word forthcoming and they're like, whoa, okay, I don't need to just tell all of my business. No, we're not saying tell every nook and cranny that's going on, but there's a level of transparency that needs to happen so that instructional staff and let them, have some vulnerability there. Let them know that, I am human. I take accountability if I have fallen short here, but we don't want to make it a pattern of consistently falling short. I had that moment of being human. Things happen. Now, what am I doing to be proactive so that this does not become a pattern?
yeah. So let's move from like theory to practice. Maybe what does healthy collaboration actually look like between leadership and staff in a strong program? Like, how do you know if you're doing it right?
I would say one thing to do is always survey the land, right? Survey your teachers, survey your staff, get and also make them voicing their opinion, whether it feels good to you or not so good. Make that comfortable for them so that when you're giving out these surveys, you're requesting feedback, that the feedback is legitimate, right? They're not just kind of pulling your tail, blowing smoke. That is something that you can really legitimately use. Because I think that's the thing too. We have some of the programs that are giving out these surveys and they're asking, right, how am I doing this? How can I do things better? How does, this particular system work? And we'll just say collaboration in relation to collaboration. But if I have created a culture where collaboration is just a buzzword and I don't really want to do it, then the feedback that I'm receiving isn't probably so accurate because people are just going to put what they think you want to hear because they're scared that some repercussion is going to happen. So I think first of all, surveys, also make time for collaboration, whether it's teacher teams as far as age groups. That's something that when I was an instructional coach inside of a center, that was something that we did regularly. Like the toddler team met up, the infant team met up, the pre-K team met up. Like we would actually utilize what's called an Eisenhower matrix, and we would all get together. We would do our individual Eisenhower matrix, which kind of delineates things based on priority. So things that they feel like even implementing the curriculum, these are like our top tier primary, these are our secondary things, these are things that can wait a little bit. And then these are things that is like we can kind of toss. Then we would get together and literally look at our matrices and come up with one collaborative one that as a team, this is what we want to accomplish. As a team, this is priority one, priority two, etc. So I think making time for collaboration and as leaders, give your team that time. I know the hustle and bustle of everyday center life is hard, but it makes your team feel so empowered when they can get together and make that plan and then they start to see that plan come to fruition. It empowers them. It makes you feel like you're doing something and it actually shifts a lot of that negative culture that you may start to and actually boost their morale. It gives them those small wins.
Yeah, I love that. So this week being the holiday, the holiday weeks, this week and next week, it's typically pretty quiet at our school. And we did just that. So we came together, not yesterday, I don't know, the day before. And we spent 2 hours with the lead teachers and we literally just dissected curriculum and how we implement it in our school. And we just literally just had a wrap session for like 2 hours. And then after, the staff were like, "Oh, man, like that was amazing. Like we'd love to do that again, and it was really not planned. It was really we just started talking. It was just so organic and natural. And everybody was kind of just sharing their thoughts, what they felt like they were really great at, what they were wishing that they had more time to do. And I learned a lot. The other thing I think could be helpful is you as a leader, if you have a pretty good pulse on your program, instead of waiting for the team to come and say, hey, I think XYZ is on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 2, maybe you just bring it up as a leader. Say, hey, guys, I'm struggling with XYZ, and I think it's a 2. What do you guys think? Tell me, convince me otherwise. Tell me it's a 10. Tell me why it's a 10, right? Because maybe you're seeing something I'm not seeing. Right. So I think too, you don't always have to, because I know like when we survey, like you said, they're like, well, I don't really want to tell you that your curriculum's out of 2, but I think it should be more like an 8 or a 9. Right. So when you just come out and say, hey guys, I think as a leader, I'm not really great at this, or I feel like our program is really struggling in this area. Tell me your thoughts. Sometimes that's a little bit easier if you say it stinks first, I guess. This is what I'm getting to, right? Nobody wants to tell the boss, the thing stinks, but when the boss says it stinks, well, yeah, I agree with you, right? Yeah, so it takes a little bit of that pressure off your team when you're asking for that feedback. And I say this a lot on the show too. I love bad feedback. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I do. I find it is like a gift because it really helps you, one, see the blind spots that maybe you don't see, and two, gives you other perspectives. Because we could go back and forth, and I could argue with you to the day is long why I think my red convertible Mustang is the coolest car ever, right? But you
Yeah.
might not think. You might think your Tesla is, right? So I think, when you my point is, I know, Eric, you're rambling, but my point is that when you have just conversations that don't feel so high stakes, it releases some of the nervousness that your
Mhm.
team will have. And then you will really get true collaboration, what they really think and what they're really willing to do as well, right? Because maybe not everybody's willing to do the part that it takes to get that curriculum to an 8, to a 10. And you need to like tuss that out too.
Right.
What's one practical shift that leaders can make immediately to strengthen collaboration in their classrooms or with their teams?
So if we are speaking, and I would know, I would say generally, if we're speaking both like teacher to teacher in the classroom collaboration or even like leader to teacher, I think you start with those conversations. Conversations first before anything else. See where their head is. Sometimes just to go and sit down and have those conversations, you see where a person really is. You know how sometimes, and I'll say we as people, we see something and that's the tip of the iceberg. We talk about the iceberg, right? That's the tip of the iceberg that we see, but we don't see what's under there, right? So sometimes just having those conversations will make us see like, oh, okay, this person has these extenuating circumstances coming up. I mean, happening right now. So that's why maybe they're not as or they aren't seemingly as open when I come to them regarding collaborative efforts. But with me talking to them and letting them know that I understand that that's going on, how can I collaborate with you in that fashion, maybe to help you in some way? It kind of lets those walls down sometimes, and then you're able to have more collaboration about more secular based educational things and operational things, and even just regulation things in the center. I think always having those conversations first to see, like we say, where a person's headspace is, because sometimes, like you said, when you are going through the motions, that's simply what you're doing. And sometimes you end up as leaders or even as a co-teacher having those blinders on and you're not really seeing that, yeah, this person is seeming aloof, or this person is seeming disengaged and not wanting to collaborate. And I'm just thinking they just don't want to collaborate because that's just the person they are. But having those conversations gives you a sense of clarity and it helps you to know. And we'll say, some people aren't open to collaboration, but having those conversations gives you clarity on that front.
Mm.
Whether it's like, hey, this person, might have some things under the iceberg that we need to look at, or this person is just, resistant and they're not willing to collaborate. But it helps you as a leader or as a co-teacher know which action to take.
All right. So for someone attending your workshop in May, what kind of clarity or mindset shift do you hope they walk away with?
I hope they walk away with trusting and knowing that collaboration is really a real tool that can help them grow. It's not just a buzzword. It's not just something we use, but we really want to stick our agenda in there. It is something that we trust what you bring. We trust the expertise that you have and the knowledge that you have. And this thing is truly, truly about us working together. No disproportionate stuff over here.
I love it. I love it. And I love you.
Thank you.
If
Love you.
you're very welcome. If collaboration has felt heavy, frustrating, or impossible in your program, then Coach Ray's workshop, C is for Collaboration, is one that you have to attend at the Early Education Empowerment Conference, May 7th, 8th, and 9th. The link is below. Right now, we have an amazing deal. Thanks to our sponsors. The whole month of January, you can get one ticket and get the second one for free. It's $2.99 for 3-day conference. And 2 of you can go for $2.99. That's insane. So anyway, links below. Use the code ECE BOGO. You'll get your ticket for free. Thank you as always for tuning in to the Childcare Director Share podcast. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Childcare Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Sacoccio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.